gentlemen, to Email Monday for PWR Daily. Damian Nelson sitting alongside Frank Cosentino. Frank, you got your Christmas colors on today.
That's right. You know, we're on the corner a weeks away.
This is PWR Daily, the Pro Wrestling Report, the world's most watched professional wrestling news program. And it is an interactive day as we bring your emails, your dozens of emails to the table.
Dozens. And we hope to get through as many as possible, but keep sending them in. PWRshow.com as you have. And, of course, hit that message board as we read those as many times as we can. And we love you interacting with the other wrestling fans all over the world. And we're going to start.
It's an open forum, if you will.
Yes. We're going to start with Trina Stewart from Davenport, Iowa. Guys, I love the show. I have a comment and a question. My comment is that Eddie Guerrero is a great man and a great wrestler, but I think it's really disgusting on how Vicky and Chavo are disrespecting Eddie's name. Question is, you can tell I'm a girl, I love wrestling, but what gets me is that every time you see women wrestling, they have to be half naked. What's the point in having a women's title when they're half naked and not wrestling? The first question, of course, Eddie Guerrero. We've talked about this many times in the past. And just kind of preface what we've been talking about since Eddie's death. When the beginning came, of course, it was sad. He was a great wrestler, a great person, but just I don't even know what the right word, overexposed, maybe. But you can say
sensationalized is what WWE has done to the death of Eddie Guerrero. Now, how much can you fault WWE as put in this email? Do you really fault Vicky and Chavo, the relatives of Eddie Guerrero, who are, quite frankly, for lack of better words, taking advantage of his death at this time for their own betterment? Vicky's getting a nice paycheck. WWE says that that's helping Eddie's family. Vicky's getting paid. I can see that from a standpoint of the way WWE tends to try to help people. But if they're willing to do it, if they're willing to participate, yes, I think it's disrespectful to him. I think it is a smudge on his name. But, again, if they're willing to do it, WWE is going to make money off the angle. It is an angle people are talking about. So I fault Vicky and Chavo, just like you did, much more than WWE.
Lord Zappa writes, have you... Dweezil? And the other Zappa, I can't remember. Have you purchased the AWA DVD released by WWE? And if so, your opinions? I have not yet. I will. Being the elder statesman of the program. That's where I grew up with AWA in this part of the country. A lot of wrestling superstars started there. Obviously, a lot more did start out east and down south. The AWA did have some great wrestlers, one of them being Hulk Hogan. So I am interested in seeing this, to see how WWE production of it. Vern Gagne, some of you may know, he was the backbone of that whole thing. And Greg Gagne, I guess, recently was just released.
He was one of the producers / agents for WWE, and they parted ways.
So it's interesting to see how WWE's production of this should be. Hopefully they did it tastefully, because there's a lot of great wrestling back then.
If you have WWE 24/7, a good chunk of that DVD is available on WWE 24/7 in the specials area under the history of the AWA.
Neil from Birmingham, England, across the pond.
Alabama?
Not Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, guys, love the show. Meathead is so cool.
He's been excommunicated from the program.
He'll be back. Listen to this for all my dream match, WrestleMania 23 Steel Cage Hardcore match. Throw all the big WWE superstars in there. Big Show, Mark Henry, Viscera, the great Khalid, Kane, Undertaker, Umaga. Also for extra minutes.
Umaga!
Don't feed any of them for a week. And then leave a ton of candy and chocolates in the ring and see which one comes out alive. That could be a Halloween version.
Or the Thanksgiving version of WWE TV. Not too far-fetched. We'll keep this one under wraps. We don't want to see it on WWE TV, so if they hear about it, they'll probably utilize it.
It might not have Big Show on it for a while anyway.
Well, we know who'd win.
Jeff from Dallas, Texas. Hey, guys. Found the show on YouTube about 5 months ago and have been watching every update since. My question is, now that King Booker, all hail, has dropped his championship to Batista and is taking the role of the Hunter as opposed to the Hunted, do you think perhaps the WWE creative department will try and ease him out of the King gimmick?
No, God, no.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. They're gonna let this thing has legs, at least until WrestleMania. in my opinion.
And as I said in last week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report, how funny was it and how great will Booker and Sharmell be in that Hunter role as you saw them on last week's SmackDown. I'm sorry, SmackDown from 2 weeks ago, not this past week, but coming out just angry and bitter, but still kingly and queenly.
Adam Barna from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada writes, I'm a big fan and tell all my friends about you guys. Before I go into the greatest match of all time selection, I like to say, Meathead, your impression of Mr. Kennedy is about as nice to listen to as Melina Scream.
Excellent.
Meathead's not here to defend himself.
Excellent.
I'd say that.
Didn't say anything about the All Hails.
No, he didn't. My pick for the wrestling's greatest of all time, Bob Backlund. One of the wrestlers who can entertain you by wrestling when we're talking. Him and the Iron Sheik had some classic matches back then.
They did.
And then all of a sudden, what was it, 1992, I think, or maybe 96, when he started to run for president. And just
Bob Backlund's a unique individual. And I still remember the line he sat ringside on Raw one week and said, I can't hear without my glasses on. He was a man who was completely involved in his character, and his character was a little more than just a gimmick.
Oh, yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting Bob Backlund a number of years ago.
Did
And
he put you in a cross-faced chicken wing?
he did not. He refused to do it. Actually, I'm sorry. He did do it. It was Sid who refused to powerbomb me. He did put me in the crossface chicken wing, and I tell you, that damn thing hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts like a... But Bob Backlund, a man who would not sign anyone's autograph unless he could name all the presidents up until that time, I think it was 42, in order.
How about that?
In order. By the way, nobody can do it.
Nobody can do it.
I can go from Kennedy on up. That's about it. You could probably start with Washington on
Yeah,
that.
I could probably get that one. John Stevens, Sterling Heights, Michigan writes, if ECW in its prime was given the budget the size of WCW or then WWF, would they have become the ECW we know, or would have been ECW just of a bigger platform?
You know, WWE had a lot of opportunities with this ECW relaunch, just as well as they have opportunities with OVW and DSW. I think OVW and DSW are more of ECW of old than ECW of new is. And what I mean by that is you want a... WWE has not clearly established their goal for ECW. All they've said is it's not old school ECW, it's a new breed of talent, it's a new area for wrestlers to shine. But what is the ultimate goal of ECW aside from making money? WWE has run ECW almost like the redheaded stepchild and the learning grounds for other talents, for other brands, and they've intermingled them so much that it is not distinct yet. I would still say Raw and SmackDown are distinct enough from each other. ECW is different, but not distinct enough, and I think that they should downgrade the production values and make it more of old school ECW production-wise. Now, they have a lot of limitations on them, because remember when ECW went to TNN, they had to up their production standards to be on a broadcast network. You get a lot of parameters set by the networks that you have to follow in order to be on their air. But I think that the question was asked, actually, during the WWE second quarter conference call with Linda McMahon of why isn't ECW getting a similar budget to Raw and SmackDown? And, you know, she feels that they are three distinctly different brands, and the ECW is succeeding. They plan to relaunch the house show somewhere down the road. But I think that it could be bigger, but it doesn't need to be.
No, I agree. Carl Knight. This subject, just found you guys, about damn time. It's a great long email, just a couple of things I wanted to point out. Is it just me, but are we back in the vault? You know, the Fraction Wars, the new DX is already old, and for God's sakes, let Flair retire. He's starting to become the legendary punching bag. He's the greatest performer of all time. Give the man his dignity back. I agree, but it's Ric Flair that I think is going along with these storylines and say, yeah, beat me up and, you know, let me bleed for a while because I've got personal things to take care of for a couple of weeks. But it's Ric Flair, and we've said it, and many of you have said this also, he's going to die in the ring.
He may want to do that. Ric Flair is taking some time off, as you saw after being attacked by Rated RKO a couple of weeks ago on Raw. I said a couple of weeks ago on this very program that Ric Flair needs to be a person used sparingly. Look how great Hulk Hogan still is. You don't see Hulk Hogan every week. Remember how special Hulk Hogan was, how much less special Hulk Hogan was, rather, when he had his last full-time run in WWE. Not that he was, you know, a fan, not that he wasn't cheered and still reveled by the fans, but when you overuse him, you just lose that opportunity to make
Right.
them special and continue the legendary status.
I always thought he'd be in managing at some sort and wouldn't wrestle. But that's just me. Damon Modry in Cleveland, Ohio writes, first, thank you for reading my question about a week ago. Second, Meathead agreed with another fan who said Vince should combine all brands, Raw, SmackDown, ECW, together. At this point, I agree. He has a couple questions. One of them, if you were Vince, how would you actually go about doing his TV and pay-per-view wise? And what would your next move be? The brands were back together. I think I read that correctly.
I think that you could have a huge, big-time pay-per-view event if you reunite the brands, unify the titles, and still spread out all that great talent that WWE has over the 3 shows. I think that back in the day, as you saw, when Raw went into SmackDown, which went into Heat, we had some good product on each of those 3 shows, and I think it kept the fans more tuned in week to week, show to show, than currently. You have your SmackDown fans, you have your Raw fans, then you have your WWE fans, followed up by your ECW and your TNA fans. Now, there's a lot of wrestling out there again. I think that combining the 3 brands is a step in the right direction for WWE, but keep in mind, they are making money from their venture. What I mean by that is the goal was to do split touring groups, which they used to do when it was one brand. They had the A show and the B show. Being here in Milwaukee, where our studios are, they used to do Chicago and Milwaukee same night.
Yep.
However, Hogan was in Chicago, and we got Ultimate Warrior. They had enough big names to do that. Now, do they have enough big names to do that now? Potentially. Could have a John Cena running one show and a Batista running another. But it can be done. And I think that they think that they've been successful so far in the dual brand touring scenario.
They're risking, if they would put all together, Monday night used to be the A show, and then the B show would be SmackDown, and they're risking branding that again, which they don't want to do. Then you have Heat and all those other shows where you're seeing mid-carders and below mid-carders there. I think they just don't want to go back to that right now, unless the ratings dictate that. So, email here from Aaron Alexander from New Zealand. Just basically says, love your show, keep going, please keep making them. He tells all his buddies, we appreciate that.
Thank you very much from New Zealand.
I believe our first one ever. My name is Armando No, just kidding. My name is Nikodem. I'm from Poland.
Oh, holler, hey.
I was
Meet
trying
us
to
from
figure-
Poland.
I was trying to figure out how to say hello in Polish, and I can't remember. It's like Jane Dubois or something like that. I got a question. When do you think the
Is she
ECW...
related to Benson?
Benson Dubois? Something like that?
Just asking.
When do you think the ECW brand will end? Do you think that they should split the wrestlers from Raw to SmackDown? I guess the main question, when do you think ECW brand will end?
I think that WWE is going to keep going with it.
Wow.
Vince does not like failure, and remember the XFL debacle, the last big venture they went into, and the failure of the WCW brand during the invasion angle. I think that they're going to continue with this ECW thing and still continue to tweak it and eventually hit that big hit, if you will, to make it big.
William from Burlington, Vermont writes, hey guys, I recently started watching some wrestling again and realized TNA was actually being broadcast on a normal network. This got me to try and watch WWE programs, but it's pretty hard. Raw seems to be all bad acting and little wrestling. SmackDown is good matches, no heat, and ECW reminds me of WCW Thunder. So here are my questions. Do you think the WWE's entertainment approach could eventually lead it to losing a fan base and going bankrupt? Assuming that the buy rate for ECW was as bad as everyone expects, can you see an abandonment of the whole distinct brand nonsense?
Even on a bad day, WWE makes money. They've got a great business model, a great business plan. They continue to be profitable. They've got a lot of cash. They have no debt. The company going bankrupt is essentially not an option unless there's some huge legal situation that causes them to have to pay out a great deal of money or some other catastrophic event. But WWE is very safe, and their core product, wrestling, they will always dominate. So I don't think there's any worries there.
We have time for a few more?
Yes, of course we do.
Paul in United Kingdom. Hey, I'm a huge
across
fan.
the pond, isn't it?
That's right. Huge fan of the show. Been ready to ask your opinion on the latest WWECW pay-per-view December to Dismember. I was appalled and disgusted what I saw on the show, but thankfully they showed it for free here in the UK, so I didn't waste anything but time. The Extreme Elimination Chamber was nothing but a joke and was poorly booked from start to finish. Another thing I didn't understand is why they eliminated the most over men in the match first. CM Punk and RVD were the more over in any one of the match and weren't given the chance to perform to their usual standards. Instead, we got the Black Lesnar as our winner to almost zero.
We coined that phrase.
That's meatheads. As our winner to almost zero reaction from the fans. What were your thoughts on the show? Or if you haven't seen it, your opinion on Bobby Lashley becoming ECW World Champion. I've always been one to say, if the bookers and everybody else in the back sees potential in a wrestler, that wrestler has to first be able to wrestle, but second have to have mic skills. I don't know if Bobby Lashley has the mic skills yet to be a true champion. They're going to give him a chance. I don't think he's there yet.
I agree. He's very green. He's very fresh. He's a good talent. I think him winning the title was an interesting approach. I think he could have done something with CM Punk, but I think it was early. You certainly could have put it on RVD. I'll never understand that. And then with Sabu being taken out of the match, obviously he was not a player. And Hardcore Holly, Hardcore Holly wouldn't have made a bad champion either. I think they had several options to go with, but they're trying to build a new star in Bobby Lashley, a man who can carry the ECW brand, who's been there for 2 weeks. And, the pay-per-view overall, I had no desire to see it. I did not see it, while I realize I am a broadcast journalist and should have seen it. I was on an airplane, not able to see the actual show, and have not had a chance to review it, but from what I've heard and seen of the show, it was a interesting pay-per-view and one that probably should have been priced lower than $40.
And a lot of people echo your statements. One of them, Ashley Walker, P.S. I'm a guy, not a girl, from London, UK, across the pond. I've just finished watching the Elimination Chamber on ECW pay-per-view, and I was disappointed. Is it me or this match getting crappier and crappier? Because the first chamber was heavy, wicked match, and ever since then, no other matches have lived up to it. Gotta agree, a lot of people are disappointed. I am one of them.
This will be like the Hell in a Cell from WrestleMania 15. Dog pen match or whatever. Undertaker and Big Boss Man. It'll be a forgotten Elimination Chamber, and the unfortunate thing is we've already seen the main event announced for the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view, which is John Cena going one-on-one up against Umaga, which means no Elimination Chamber there, which breaks a 2-year tradition. I think that they got to put it away for a little while, bring it back, and make it big and special again. It is a WWE thing, not an ECW thing, and I think they wasted it and pretty much compromised the integrity of the match at that pay-per-view.
Devontae Lex in Brooklyn, New York. In your opinion, who is the greatest wrestler that wore a mask or painted their face?
It is very interesting.
Well, I know we've kind of bashed him a while, but Rey Mysterio has been one of the, at least lately, as far as wearing a mask. Kane. And if you want to go
Don't
old
forget
school,
Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2.
Yes, the Super Destroyers, all those guys in AWA. A lot of the luchadors, obviously, are wearing the mask. Painting their face, Sting, as you'd have to say, is one of them.
And his original tag team partner, the Ultimate Warrior at the time, known as the Dingo Warrior.
Yeah. Wow, off the top of my head, it's hard.
I think the fans should vote on this one. That's a great question.
That is a great question.
From Brooklyn, and I think that, let's hear what you guys have to say. Send us your emails on who is the greatest, in your opinion, masked or painted face wrestler.
Brian and
Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 4 or 5 doesn't count when he painted himself half black.
Brian in Providence, Rhode Island. What's up, Damien and Meathead? Love the show and watch it every week. On your last show, you neglected to mention about the attempted suicide of a fan at a recent SmackDown ECW taping. When I read about this one line, I thought immediately of Meathead and expected a sarcastic response from him about how it figures someone would want to off themselves at a SmackDown event. And again, we should read this with Meathead here to defend himself. But do you guys think WWE will be in some trouble with media and its public relations with this? And now with the death of a 9-year-old boy in Indonesia who was wrestling with friends when he injured himself and died.
And they have been taken off the air in Indonesia. We chose not to cover that for various reasons, but they have been taken off the air in Indonesia. They released several statements regarding the event, and WWE, another situation that they're being used as a scapegoat for people not handling their own business at home.
Right. Taylor McAllister.
It's a great name. Where's Taylor from?
I don't know. Taylor, when
Brian.
you're ready again.
I had one question for Brian, actually. How often do you get to Dunkin' Donuts from Providence, Rhode Island? I'm just asking.
Taylor writes, hey, I just found the show on YouTube and listened to a couple of editions, including the most recent. I enjoy it. I don't agree with a lot of your guys' opinions, but I enjoy the show nevertheless. In any event, I'm listening to the December 1st edition, and I heard you mention that that team RKO are using Edge's song. If you listen to their entrance, you'll notice they mixed Orton's song and Edge's song together to make a rated RKO anthem.
It's a pretty bad mix, too, by the way. You are correct. We were wrong.
Melvin Love in Milwaukee, Milltown.
Is he a minister?
No. Maybe. It's got a good last
I thought
name.
I heard him on V100 Sunday mornings.
I'm sorry, I don't listen to. I'm more of a WOKY.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, just wanted to say I'm loving the show. Keep doing what y'all doing. But here's a question for you: what is the most bloodiest match you've ever seen? Something with Ric Flair, especially when he, bleaches the hair the night before.
Yep.
That's a great question. I got to think about that one. There have been a lot of bloody matches. Obviously, ECW can do that pretty well. Wow.
That's a great question.
It's hard
Lots
to-
of Ric Flair matches.
The first
lots of
matches-
local matches where there's been more blood than I care to see, featuring Ian Rotten, Corporal Robinson. So there's a lot out there. As far as national scale, that's worth tabling and talking about later. I think that was our last one, wasn't it, for this week?
Yeah, there's still.
We're just about out of time. The interns are yelling. One just poked their head in the door. Scared the
Sorry
crap
that
out
we
of me.
didn't get to your email. There's just so many to go through, and we'd be here for hours.
We will respond to those we did not read here on the air, but keep in mind, go on over to the message board, visit the forum where you can ask either myself, Frank, or Meathead a question on that forum, and we'll answer them pretty promptly. Also, we've got a new chat room that you can join us in on the website, and all kinds of interactive features. We are your most interactive and source in the world of professional wrestling news and views. For Frank Cosentino, this is Damian Nelson signing off for this Monday edition of PWR Daily. We'll see you next time, folks.